Hi Capricorn, welcome to the channel and welcome to your reading for February 2024. I have been putting off doing this reading because as a Capricorn moon, I understand how hard it's been to go through this Pluto transition. So the world and the star, so many cycles are closing out now, so many patterns. You've gone through this entire transformation of yourself, and it hasn't come easy because this transformation is a release of all of these deep, dark energy that you've used to kind of navigate your life over the years. And there's this feeling of being fed up with doing things the way that they've been done. Like, why are you constantly going through these cycles over and over again? Like, it seems so difficult, and you're just fed up with it being difficult to the point that now you're just breaking all these cycles. And with this transformation of your identity, really letting go of all the darkness, all of the habits and behaviors that you've learned to use to navigate the world and live your life, you're just letting go and you're realizing the roots of them now. So now you want to assert yourself. You understand what your dreams are, you understand where you want to go from here, because you're done playing it small, you're done playing in this heavy dark energy that has seemed to kind of rule your life and um, rule the way you go about doing things. And a lot of it has to do with things being hard. Like, you're not afraid of working hard and doing hard things and pushing yourself to accomplish things. But when it seems like you're pushing against this heavy energy until it finally breaks, and when it breaks, you realize what was the main cause for that resistance, what was the underlying energy, and why you couldn't get to your goals and your dreams in the way that you'd like to, in the way that you see other people doing pretty easily sometimes. And you realize through all the stress, especially when it culminates as Pluto moved into Aquarius, you realize what that resistance really was, and it has to do with your sense of self and how your identity is tied to your work and your money, and realizing that you can't push and push and push for your goals if your sense of self-worth and your sense of deservingness and your sense of value is not aligned with what you're trying to achieve. You can work all you want, but you'll never be satisfied. You will, or things will feel like they're always slipping through your fingers. So what's happening in February is really you're being squeezed to the point where all of these cycles that you've gone through that have to do with your self-worth and your sense of value in relation to money is coming up. You might feel like you're being thrown through the gauntlet of every challenge you've had for the past 15 years, or perhaps your whole life if you're younger. So when you go through these challenges, it's not to push you back, it's not to make you feel like things are hopeless, like no matter how hard you try, you can't get there. It's squeezing you and putting you back in these situations at such an intense way, so that you can realize that this is more than physicality, this is more than hard work, it's more than anything in the material world. It has to do with your emotional nature and your relationship to your ambitions and your relationship to physical reality in an emotional and energetic sense. So when things get so hard to the point that you feel like things are hopeless, or you feel like the pressure and the weight is too much, it's at this point where that heaviness, you can see through that fog and see what the real issue is, and how your emotional nature has been tied to the material and the real blockages that create the resistance in your life. And that's what really ends this cycle. So if you feel like things are really tough right now, this is just this is really the beginning of something great. So this is you balancing out these energies between the emotional and the physical and the um, spiritual, and really coming into this place of balance and wholeness, so that you can really actually go for your dreams and goals and have this understanding of what they really are. It's not about the money, it's not about whatever the case is, it's about your sense of self and the value you create and the value you get back in return, and how a lot of this has stemmed from an emotional wound. So all of that is really being compressed, and so you can kind of reach this breaking point where you can break free of the illusions that have set you back. I hope that makes sense. So this is really the beginning of something great, and if you're going through a hard time right now, it's really, the darkest before the dawn. It's really compressing all of these energies so that they can be released, and you can enter into this cycle balanced and whole, with perspective, with everything you've learned integrated, but and things that are unnecessary, baggage that you've held on to, that you've been carrying with you and maybe you didn't even realize, can be released, and what's necessary to take with you into this chapter can be integrated. And that's what's really going to align you. And then with the star card here, you can really see clearly how you can make what you want happen, and the route you can take to get there, and that it doesn't have to be filled with resistance. And over time, you'll see the resistance um, lessen as you move more in alignment, as these um, traumas or issues of your identity when it comes to money and your self-worth and value, as all of these things are highlighted to be released, the more you will find less resistance as you move on your path here. So this is, you're coming in now. We've had the full moon in Aquarius, and things are going to start to lighten up now. You will really feel this sense of direction. You have the understanding of why things have been this way. And the more you walk the path that's aligned with what you really want, with your emotional nature, you will understand why things have taken so long, and why, if you felt like you've made the wrong decisions, or you felt like you took too long to take action, or whatever the case is, you're going to start to realize that everything is happening at the right time, and that all of these difficult things that you've went through were necessary because they prepare you for what you're about to walk into, the success that you're about to walk into, the relationships that you're about to walk into. This is knowledge that you needed to integrate and acquire. And as well, it's also burdens and traumas that you needed to release and you needed to alchemize, to transform, in order to be ready for what you're about to walk into. And this is very much to do with success, with your life path and your purpose. And, if you've been feeling like you're behind in life, or you made the wrong moves and that's what ended you up here, that you're going to realize how everything is actually, you were meant to start doing this right now. You were meant to start walking this path right now. And you have to remember, Capricorn, Saturn energy, it's the long game. It's success that comes later on in life, there's so because of this heavy energy, because there's so much to be transmuted in the early life, and all of that prepares you for success down the road. If you're thinking like, some people have it easier, some people get the things that I want, the things that I have to work so hard for, they seem to have it just fall on their lap. And it's because with Saturn energy, there's so much dense energy that needs to be transmuted. And it will, whether or not you realize that now, it will facilitate your success down the road. So now we've had the new moon in Aquarius, and things are starting to fall into place now. You're understanding what the resistance was, you're understanding how to take action, and this is also taking action in more of a relaxed way than you're used to. And I think that's why the energies had really pressurized you in stress, and the inability to move forward in the way that you thought you needed to do, because you're not meant to continue uh, battling upstream the way that you are used to. And that's something you'll realize as you come more and more into this balance, that this is more about taking action from the heart, from expressing your value, expressing yourself from a more heart centered place, not this um, stressed out survival action, chasing. It's chasing after what you want and having it slip through your fingers. Now you're taking this more energetic, heart centered approach to these things. So with the Page of Cups here, this is a new energy for you to step into, and it's something that you're not used to. And you could feel like you're in between worlds, because you're really learning how to play the game in a new way, where you've always been very action oriented, chasing things and pushing upstream. You're realizing now that that's not how you operate in this new cycle, that you take a more heart centered approach. You're more in the flow and aligned with giving and receiving, not based on just physical works, but heart centered works, things that you want to share from the heart, things that you find value in, that you can give value to others. And it's a new way of navigating things. So you can feel like you're in between worlds, because there's one part of you that wants to push upstream, there's one part of you that wants to climb that hill. But then at the same time, intuitively, you could be feeling like, no, I need to relax. I need to sit with myself and wait for the right time, wait for the right opportunity, the next move. And it's not something you're used to, it's something you're still learning. So don't feel, if you feel like some days you're in that alignment and you're in that flow and things are going well, and then some days you feel stressed out, Nine of Swords just came out, and some days you feel stressed out, and some days you feel like you've taken 10 steps back. It's really your mental is so used to the way things used to be, the way you used to play the game, that sometimes it's difficult to learn these new patterns or implement these new behaviors that come from a more emotional side, a more heart-centered side. So don't be too hard on yourself. This is a new way of operating in the world, a new way of understanding yourself, and a new way of asserting yourself, a new way of interacting with things. So you're not falling 10 steps back. It's just the mind and the body remember how to do things, but you're learning what to do now based on in a more intuitive approach, a more emotional approach, a heart-centered approach, and it's something that now your mind and your body have to adjust to. So this period is about training the mind. When you have those um, nervousness or anxiety, it's really about letting those things come up and realizing that they're illusions, realizing that it's not um, necessary and that's not how you need to approach things. And it's over time, as you balance these things and you retrain your mind and body to thrive instead of being in this survival mode, um, all of these thoughts and emotions will be a thing of the past. And I think you already realize that despite the intensity of the Pluto transit, you might find that even though all these themes are coming back up and you're really being pressurized by things that would have caused you a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety, that you're managing it quite well. And that's because you're stepping into this more emotional, heart-centered approach when it comes to the material world. So, and this is not an easy task, and really only those of us born in this time are really going to understand this. This is the thing, this all of this transmutation of this energy and everything that you're working towards now in this new way, it's not easy. It's a whole different understanding, a spiritual understanding of the matrix of reality and how it really works. And it's not an easy task. So, that self criticism of not being able to do things the way that you think is best or that you would have thought was best, or being able to accelerate towards your goals in the way that you thought. This is a very intense energy that not many people in our lifetime are going to understand. So, and really only somebody that has been through what you've been through and has transmuted that energy is really going to be able to step into the kind of lifestyle and success that you're working towards now, because it's a heightened understanding of reality. So don't be too hard on yourself. What you're going through now is extremely intense. It's really um, a major initiation. So we have the Six of Wands and the Three of Cups. And I think this is important because, on one hand, so the more you walk and move towards your goals in this more intuitive approach, the easier you're going to find your success. And a lot of it has to do with feeling that success to begin with feeling this satisfaction with who you are and where you are. And that has a lot to do with the integration that's happening. Um, having that balance where before you might have been really hard on yourself when it comes to feeling like you're behind or that you made certain mistakes, but now you're feeling your success. And because you've really transmuted a lot of heavy energies, you're really coming to understand that it's okay to be where you are now. And everything that's happened was necessary to make you who you are because it has equipped you with the knowledge and the intuition and the understanding to navigate the path that you're on now. And you have this, even though you might not see the success come in right away, you have this um, understanding that you are successful and you are on the right path, and you can be happy even in the face of a lot of heavy energy. And you can have that confidence, and having that confidence and that point to move from is what's going to accelerate your success. It's going to bring in the things that you've been working for, the things that you felt were out of your reach, but suddenly when you pull back and you take this heart-centered intuitive approach and you feel that success, that even if you haven't achieved your goals or you feel behind, it's success in knowing that everything that you've been through up until this point made you, and that you deserve to feel happy for your accomplishments regarding that, even if it's not on this global scale that you would like, or it's not, um, your end game. You can feel the success in the little accomplishments. And when I say little accomplishments, it's things that you might overlook when you're trying to um, go for your biggest ambition, but the things that you overlook when it comes to the um, traumas and the hardships that you've faced your entire life up until this point, and that those are accomplishments, and you've been successful in that as well. And so when you can move from this point and you can be in that energy, things really start to accelerate for you. Also, a lot of this has to do with, because you've gone through this major transformation in your identity and who you are, and now it's time to really put that out into the world, to not shy away from what you resisted before, um, what you resisted based on like all the that darkness that you've been transmuting, that caused you to resist a lot of forward movement, whether you realize it or not. And now you don't want to shy away from that. You're feeling confident. You're feeling like the point you're at is the right time, it is the right place. And you deserve to feel happy and confident in that, even though to the grand scheme of what you want to do, you could feel really small right now. This also comes with setting boundaries and setting standards when it comes to social situations, when it comes to your environment, when it comes to the things that you would previously do. There can be a lot of temptation when it comes to your environment to um, maybe still play in the illusion. Um, by the illusion, I mean the lifestyle or the environment that you've built up before you transmuted all of this trauma and all of these energies, um, in relation to self, in relation to your identity. There can be the temptation to still kind of dabble in that. And it's really a time now where you have to assert that discipline. You have to assert yourself and really break away from that identity. And even if you have to interact with these environments, the test is to go into these spaces, go into these environments, go into these relationships as this version of you are now, not hiding yourself, not pretending that you're still the same person, but going into these spaces, um, saying how you really feel, not indulging in behaviors that you normally would, because that is not who you are right now. And practicing that in your environment and having the discipline to make those sacrifices where normally you would maybe just fall into the normal routine that you would do with these people, or the things you would normally practice that you don't actually align with, having the discipline to show up for yourself and not indulge in those things anymore, that's really going to solidify this shift in the physical world where you can actually assert yourself as who you are right now. I don't agree with these things. I want to change these things, and even though I still have to move in this environment or interact with this environment, I'm going to have the discipline to turn down offers I don't align with. I'm going to turn down vices or indulging that I would normally do and not think it was a big deal, but because now it is a big deal to me. Now that's not who I am. And that's really how you're going to ultimately break away from the past. And there could be this fear of losing certain aspects of your environment that are comfortable to you, but you understand that it's necessary to discipline yourself in this way. And people benefit from you really asserting yourself and being your authentic self in this time, because you might feel like you want to be in agreement with what's going on around you, but you are really a leader now, and the more you assert yourself and you're willing to make the sacrifices and discipline yourself to do things differently than you normally would, that inspires others to change, or others will change by proxy of that, because if you're doing something differently, then it signals to them that maybe what they're doing isn't the best thing either. And if they don't agree with that or they resist that, then it's something that will fall away from your life naturally. But this is all about balance ultimately. So, the Seven of Cups and Eight of Wands, again, it's really important to discipline yourself and assert yourself when it comes to your goals, your ambitions, and your environment, and really protecting, because, like I said, this emotional, spiritual, intuitive way of working and going towards your goals, it's something you're still learning to do. Your body and mind are very much still in the habit of survival and being stressed and pushing, pushing, pushing. And it's really important for you to protect your energy now from old vices, from confusing relationships, confusing emotional energy, things that will stir you up and take you out of this space of pulling your energy back and being more intuitive in your actions. So you want to make sure that you're protecting your energy from that, and you're focusing your emotional energy on your goals, on where you want to go, and on uh, making yourself a priority and loving yourself first, and really pouring into yourself the value and the self love that perhaps you wanted from others for a long time, but now you're understanding that you need to give it to yourself. And for a lot of you, this is something that has been lacking for a lot of your life, and that's been the missing ingredient to achieving success. So it's really important to protect your emotional energy right now and really nurture yourself, because this is essentially like nurturing your inner child, allowing that to grow, because it's been stifled through being in survival and pushing towards your goals instead of allowing yourself to receive. So you don't want to get that muddied up right now, and you want to focus your emotional energy on pouring back into yourself. And when you can do that, we have the Eight of Wands, Eight of Pentacles. You're going to be receiving so many things that you've been deprived of for a long time. Things that you've always wanted but seemed to get out of your grasp. And this was the missing piece, the pouring into yourself and allowing things to come to you and moving more intuitively. This accelerates everything you're doing, things that you've been waiting a long time for. You've already done so much work. And that's another reason that you've been held in this space, because you've done so much work, but the missing piece was this emotional self value side of things. And once you get to that place, things start coming in very fast. It's the reciprocation. It's like having a bunch of, like a kinked hose, I guess, where there's all this stuff that wants to come in, but you kept missing it because you were running and running and running. But now that you're sitting in an intuitive space and making moves based on intuition, based on your heart, all of these things can finally come in, and everything that you've been lacking, you will receive that because you've already put in the work. It was just you weren't making space for it to come in. So, focusing on the path ahead and moving towards your goals from this intuitive space, from this heart centered space, that's what's important right now. And if you're struggling, you're going to start to see everything that you've been lacking come into your life in more abundant ways than you even thought possible until now. All right. So that's what I have for you guys. If this resonated, please leave a comment. And if you'd like a personal reading, I will link it in the description. And I'll see you next time.